another victory. 3 podiums in a row now, and he cuts Evan Belford's lead down to 41 points heading into race 2. As the number 7 of McCabe finished second, and Lucas Brown just pipped Emmanuel Brinton to the final podium spot. Beautiful blue skies on this camera anyway at Silverstone. Changed to yesterday's conditions. Pretty horrific day of weather at Silverstone yesterday. Thankfully, it's been pretty much dry all the way through. A little bit of spots of rain throughout the day, I'm sure you saw in the MotoGP race, but hopefully we're going to have a fully dry race for the second race here in the British Talent Cup. My name's Elliot York. Alongside me in the comments box is Liam Hodgins, and good to see so many fans out there today at Silverstone. Hopefully they're going to stick around and watch the second race here of the British Talent Cup, because if yesterday was anything to go by, Liam, we're in for a cracker.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Elliot. Good afternoon to everyone watching from back home and at the circuit as well. So great to see so many of the British fans sticking around to watch what will be an amazing British Talent Cup race. And yes, as you said, Elliot, a cracking race yesterday with Sullivan Moundy and Evan Belford in a completely different league to everyone else, a completely different county here at Silverstone, as we do cross 2 different counties around this Silverstone circuit in Buckinghamshire and Northamptonshire. So really, they had the circuit to themselves in many ways.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was quite incredible, really, what they did. After the opening lap, they were around about 3 seconds clear, and judging from the lap times yesterday, Evan Belford set that fastest lap of the race, as we said, just before he went down the road. Thankfully, he's all okay and will be starting from pole position once again. But yeah, Evan Belford's time yesterday, 2:29.3 in the wet. Mountsy's fastest lap was a 2:29.7, and then the next best was Harley McCabe, who come across the line second in the end. It was a 2:32.7. So the duo out front, the 2 runaway leaders, had 3 seconds in hand over anyone else. In those conditions, on the same bikes, same playing field, simply astonishing.
Absolutely. They always say that the rain is the great equaliser. However, in yesterday's conditions, it was a complete opposite of that. There was no equalisation at all with Belford and Moundy running off into the distance. We have seen in the past that Moundy is incredible in wet conditions, as we saw a couple of rounds ago when he did dominate at Brands Hatch, race number 1, in wet conditions as well. And yesterday's race win was the second biggest winning margin over second place in British Talent Cup's history, dating all the way back to 2018. The only person that had a bigger winning margin was Franco Born back in 2020 at Brands Hatch. So that's going somewhere, because we know what Franco Born is going off to do in the British Superbike paddock.
Great stat there then from Liam Hodgins. Yeah, a fascinating race yesterday and an utterly brilliant win for Sullivan Mountsy. There he is then, the number 52 of Evan Belford. He's going to want to be making up for yesterday's disappointment. He was, of course, very angry with himself after just pushing probably a little bit too hard, given the circumstances. Like we say, just set that fastest lap of race. It looked like he was just pulling clear of Sullivan Mountsy, and then, yeah, as you might have saw on the big screens around at Silverstone and on your TVs at home, he did crash out. But thankfully, he's all okay. And if you weren't aware, the race 2 grid is formed by the fastest laps that were set in race 1. Belford then leads Mountsy, and it will be Harley McCabe rounding out the front row. But let's touch upon the championship standings, Liam, because obviously it was a big day yesterday in terms of the title race. Belford's lead coming into it was over 60 points. It's been slashed down to 41 to Sullivan Mountsy. So another big day coming up.
Yeah, really big day indeed for Sullivan Moundy and Evan Belford. Also, the rider you just saw on screen there, Harley McCabe, he came through to finish second on the final lap of the race, taking Emmanuel Brinton and Lucas Brown, Lucas Brown you see on screen here. He is now 42 points behind Evan Belford. He hasn't had a race win this year, but he has been incredibly consistent as the number 7 with 4 podiums throughout 2023, all second place finishes. So he will be hoping to go away with Moundy, Brinton and Belford here today and finally step on top of the number 1 spot on the podium.
He certainly will be. Yeah. Harley McCabe, a fascinating rider to watch out on track. He produced some heroics yesterday to come from a few seconds away from the podium fight to just pip the riders in that fight. There's your race winner from yesterday making his way to the grid. Hopefully it's going to be an equally fascinating race today between the top 2 and hopefully more as well. Hopefully we get a big group out front all battling for the race win. Just getting his stats up on the screen there. Podiums 4, wins 1, and championship standings 2. He moved above Harley McCabe yesterday. Fourth season in British Talent Cup, and Mountsy's just going from strength to strength.
He is indeed. Manic Mounty, it says on his butt patch, and manic indeed he was yesterday. And I do believe those stats on the screen were a little bit incorrect, because he does have 3 wins so far this season, and many more podiums as well to his name. So Mounty really is one of the riders that's coming on strong in the British Talent Cup in 2023. One rider that's been struggling as of late is a rider that is on your screen, Emmanuel Brinton. He had, get this, 6 podiums in the opening 8 races, and that included missing one of the rounds because he had European Talent Cup duties as well during that time. So he is, well, slipping back a little bit in the order. He's also scored 2 point scoring finishes in the last 4 races, and that was an 8th place and a 4th place yesterday.
Yeah, Brinton's first season in the British Talent Cup, lives over in Valencia, and like you say, Liam competes in the European Talent Cup. Used to the hot conditions, obviously, over in Spain and Portugal. Very different conditions, especially yesterday in the rain, and it's not too warm today either, but luckily we're going to get a dry race as the riders, team members just give their final good looks to their riders as we're going to clear the grid and get set for race 2 here. It's Julian Correa starting from outside of row 2. He suffered a DNF yesterday, crashed over at the Beckett's complex, unfortunately. That was his first non-score of the season, Liam, but starting from outside of the second row, Correa will be confident of rebounding well today. Yeah,
it was looking really good yesterday, was Julian Correa. As you said, a little bit of a mishap for the Maggots and Beckett section. A far cry from the heat he would be used to over in Florida, the young USA rider, but showing good form in the last few rounds has Julian Correa, and well, with the dry conditions here today, we can definitely expect him to be in the mix for the podium positions.
There's Filip Sorowiak, the pole. He finished 6th yesterday, and that was his best result of the season, so a cracking rise in the tough conditions from the numbered 75 rider. Watch out for him coming from the spearhead of row 3. He's joined on that row by Harrison Desoy, who won incidentally here at Silverstone National Circuit earlier on in the season. This is, of course, the second time that the riders in the British Talent Cup are visiting Silverstone, but the first time they're doing the full-length Grand Prix track. Yeah, it's a completely different kettle of fish, this one, to the short circuit, the national circuit. And since then, since Harrison Desoy's last win, he has had a brace of 6 non-scores. He has finished the last 2 races, so fingers crossed that is a good building block for race 2 here today. So starting in pole position with the fastest lap yesterday is Evan Belford, your championship leader, ahead of his main championship rival Sullivan Mounty and Harley McCabe, rounding out row number 1. On row 2 is Lucas Brown, who finished 3rd yesterday ahead of Emmanuel Brinton and Julian Correa, the young USA rider. Filip Sorowiak on row number 3 and 7th ahead of Harrison Desoy and Rhys Stevenson, with Ollie Walker on row number 4. Further back we have the likes of Scott McPhee and 13th ahead of Ewan Jones and Charlie Barnes, and then George Bowles, Eli Banish and Ronnie Harris, with Ben Jolliffe, Charlie Huntingford, Daniel Goodman, and on the final row of the grid, Peter Willis, Josh Bannister and Clayton Edmonds. Here we go then, warm-up lap time for race 2 in the British Talent Cup. An important warm-up as well. Obviously the riders didn't get a chance to go out in the dry conditions yesterday. They had Friday's running, of course. They had plenty of running on Friday, practice 1 and 2 and then qualifying, but the conditions were a little bit different to this. I think they were a little bit cooler on Friday, not so much sun around. It's obviously not warm still out there at Silverstone, and there are some dodgy looking clouds we've seen from our camera pictures here in the commentary box, but it looks as though we probably will get a fully dry race under our belts, which is good news. Well, you never know in the UK, anything can happen. It could be dry one minute, it could be wet the next, and with the size of the Silverstone Circuit, there could be different weather going on at different parts of the circuit. Yeah, I might have jinxed it there, so apologies to the British Talent Cup riders. But yeah, hopefully we will get a fully dry race. You can see they're already pushing on this warm-up lap, getting some crucial heat into the tyres. There's Belford there just shadowing Mountsie. I wonder if we're going to see a repeat of that coming up. Sorry, it wasn't Mountsie who was shadowing. Mountsie on the number 4 machine, McCabe on the number 7 machine. But yeah, Belford really needs to bounce back. We're just going to have a look at the cup standings on your screens. Belford, 192 points, 41 points clear. So it's still a healthy margin for Belford, but he's had 2 DNFs in the last 3 races now. He's either, in the last 6 races, he's either won or he's crashed. 4 of them wins, 2 crashes. crashes, both in the wet conditions at Brands Hatch and Silverstone, of course, yesterday.
The absolute epitome of win it or bin it for Evan Belford in the British Talent Cup at the moment. Fingers crossed today there is no bin it, and there potentially could be win it on the cards for your British Talent Cup championship leader. Now, he was having a great ding-dong battle yesterday with Sullivan Mounsey, but he did get a little bit too close for comfort at one point. We hope for a little bit more clean racing today, but with a lot more riders that could challenge your top two from yesterday.
Yeah, just got on the curb, didn't he, coming out of Cops, and when you get on the curbs in the wet conditions, there's not so much grip out there, so we just lost a bit of drive, and Mounsey said thank you very much, I'm coming on through, and Belford didn't really see him. They came into contact, but thankfully they both stayed on the straight and narrow as the riders then pull around the final corner, Club Corner. Wonder how much action we're going to see into the Vale Complex, the final chicane, in about 10 laps time as the riders pull up to the grid.
Yeah, 10 laps doesn't sound too much, does it? But it's 59 kilometres of British Talent Cup racing action we have here today under glorious, I'm thankful to say, British sunshine of the first August weekend of 2023. It's absolutely glorious out there at Silverstone. It's going to be some glorious racing on track as well.
Let's hope so. The riders looking cool, calm and collected as the green flag waves in the background. We're almost set to go then here for race 2 in the British Talent Cup. The lights will come on in the top left-hand corner, and they will go out as we're underway for race 2, and it looks like a good start from Mounsey on the number 4 machine. Belford gets away well as well, but who's going to take the whole shot into the first corner? The number 4 of Mounsey gets up the inside and takes the whole shot ahead of Belford. I think it's Lucas Brown making his way up into P3 ahead of Emmanuel Brinton, but it's the top 2 from race 1 in the early exchanges as Belford then makes his way up into P1 straight away up Village Corner, but I think Mounsey's going to pounce straight back into the loop. Yes, he is.
Oh, great stuff there from Mounsey, and one of the riders as well. There's Emmanuel Brinton following him through at the loop as well. So Evan Belford, your championship leader, who was leading it only a couple of corners ago, is already back down to 4th spot there with Julian Correa on the number 40 Cresswell machine, 3 abreast, and it's Evan Belford that retakes second, but Emmanuel Brinton, he's late on the brakes, he's not going for second, he potentially is going for first, shoving his way through. Almost contact there between Brinton and Mounsey with Lucas Brown around the outside. Mounsey's out! Oh, he's lost the front through Brooklands there, has Sullivan Mounsey as disasters for yesterday's race 1 winner. He almost took out Evan Belford as well when he went down, so Evan Belford was extremely lucky to get away with that.
Oh, absolute disaster for Sullivan Mounsey after such a dominant win yesterday, clawing back crucial points in the championship. He has gone down on the opening lap at Luffield. Let's take another look at what happened. It was sort of 4 abreast coming into Brooklands. It was Emmanuel Brinton up the inside, just sits up Mounsey there, doesn't he? There's 3 of them in right. Evan Belford on the outside there. It just looks like he just took the front, no contact. I don't think he was just up the inside, maybe just pushing the brakes too hard at that point. As Sullivan Mounsey crashes out, that's huge in terms of the title race.
Yeah, you were talking earlier on about the conditions on track. Only 33 degrees track temperature. Doesn't sound too cold, but in terms of racing it is. And that was the first right-hander for about 20 seconds, so maybe the cold right-hand side of the tyre just tucked the front, and out of the race he goes. Well, his championship rival now hits the front. Evan Belford trying to put to bed yesterday's mistake, and he would have seen his championship rival as Lucas Brown runs off in 3rd spot as well. He's got to be wary of that as Harley McCabe looks up the inside and tried to retaliate, and Emmanuel Brinton as well. But for now, it's Emmanuel Brinton that leads away, it's Evan Belford that leads away from his teammate Emmanuel Brinton, and Lucas Brown in 3rd as they come across the line to tick off lap number 1.
Lap number 1 completed then, and what a dramatic lap it was. Belford leads the way from Emmanuel Brinton, but for how long? Brinton dives at the inside at turn 1 and takes the lead over Evan Belford. How much is that going to change throughout the race? The top 3 have just broken a little bit clear. It's Lucas Brown in 3rd place, McCabe, the number 7, who now sits 2nd in the championship. Brown 2 for 1 at turn 3. What a move from the number 29 rider. Belford goes from P1 to P3 in a matter of corners.
Well, Brown woke up this morning and chose violence, didn't he? He's well and truly up for this one here today, chasing his first ever British Talent Cup victory. There's the championship standings on the right-hand side of your screen. That Harley McCabe will move it back into 2nd, 45 points behind Evan Belford. So this is music to the ears of Belford as the top 3 begin to open up a gap. Oh, that's close there between Brown and Belford. Belford just had to set up ever so slightly so he doesn't get his front wheel taken out.
Yeah, Brown getting aggressive on the opening couple of laps. It's exactly what you need to do, though, when you're chasing the title race. You don't want to let Evan Belford, the number 52, get into a rhythm, because how many times have we seen Evan Belford get to the front in races early on in 2023 and just get the hammer down, get into his rhythm and streak clear? And as soon as we say that, Evan Belford hits the front at the Copse corner, turn 9. This is where the incident with Mounsley happened yesterday, the contact. He's got a better run than he did during that contact, though, and Belford then hits the lead. Brinton diving the inside.
You can't do
no,
that.
not quite.
My goodness me, I thought it was going to be contact between Brinton and Belford, but thankfully for the Ryan Saxby team, they still continue on for the moment as Brinton runs a little bit wide there. As we look back to Ollie Walker chasing Filip Sorowiak, that is the battle for 8th and 9th position, so they're just on the back of this group ever so slightly. So this is a great opening couple of laps from Ollie Walker and Filip Sorowiak. And Harrison Desoy, I did notice him on the start have a bit of a slow getaway, so he's recovered very well, and he's just behind his teammate Julian Correa.
Ollie McCabe is around about half a second behind the top 3 as things stand on the green at number 7 machine. He now acts as the number 52 Belford's closest challenger in the title race, as Emmanuel Brinton sticks it on the inside down at Vale, sits the number 52 of Belford up, and Lucas Brown fancies a bit of the action as well. No, he thinks a little bit better of it through Club as we complete lap 2 then. 8 laps to go. Brinton did set the fastest lap of race, but the number 7 of McCabe then beats it by a tenth, the 2:20.8 for McCabe, and he is now right with the leaders.
I thought he was about to go for a move on Brown there, looked up the inside into Farm Curve. He might have a go into Village late on the brakes. No, we know how good Brown is there from a couple of laps ago, outbraking your 2 leaders at the moment. But Belford, he has a big target on his back as the championship leader. He's getting beaten up by Brinton and Brown whenever they sniff an opportunity, but we have seen that Belford can give as good as he gets as well. But as we say that, Brinton is opening up a couple of bike lengths advantage. However, Belford is extremely quick in the straights, and he might have a look into Brooklyn's corner. Up the inside he goes, but no, later on the brakes is Brinton. But around the outside, like we saw yesterday, is Lucas Brown. Has he made a mistake? Yes, he has. That's incredible from your number 29 rider. He's into second ahead of Belford. That was an absolute cracking move.
Yeah, fascinating move from Brown around the outside of Brooklands, like you say, Liam. We saw that yesterday in the wet conditions. We also saw this yesterday around the outside of Woodcote Corner for Belford, and I think he's going to get past Emmanuel Brinton like he did on the previous lap on the run into Copse Corner. So
I'm sure that wasn't a replay.
Place. Yeah, I think it might have been a replay, but no, it wasn't. Belford up into the lead then, just like he did last lap. Brinton and Brown have nothing to lose here. Number 43 is going up the inside, is he? Alicia Spargo-esque. He's made it stick as well. What a move from Brinton. He threatened to do that last lap, didn't he? Didn't quite make it, but he's made it stick that time around.
And at the same time, McCabe made a move up the inside of Brown, but Brown retaliates into Beckett's section. So chopping and changing everywhere you look. We shouldn't have the live championship standings on the right hand side of the screen, because it's chopping and changing every single corner as Belford gives Brinton a cheeky little look as he drives on past down the Hanger Straight. But will Brinton see red? Oh well, he will see red because he's got a red bike in front of him, but will he see red mist? Not for now. He keeps his powder dry into Stoke Corner, but as we saw one lap ago, both running on the green there, Brinton and Belford. Here comes Brinton up the inside. Will he set Belford up? No, Belford's wise to that move from one lap ago, but just behind them is Brown and also McCabe, but struggling to stay on this group ever so slightly is Stevenson, who's having a better run of things here today, and Harrison Desoy.
As you can tell, the number 43 of Emmanuel Brinton is quite a tall lad. Nearly 6 foot is Brinton as he dives up the inside.
Pushing Belford away.
Belford hangs it around the outside though. We'll have the inside line for turn 2 at Farm, the fast left-hander. But Brinton then hangs it around the outside at Farm, dives up the inside at Village Corner. Oh, there's contact. I thought he was going to make it stick, but he didn't. Belford shut the door. Brinton then goes for it again. No, not quite there. Fair in bashing then from the top 2 in the race so far. This is fascinating stuff as Ryan Frost sets the fastest lap of the race at 2:03.3. He's now up to 8th place.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds behind the leaders as Ryan Frost, with these leaders carving each other up the way they are, touching and contact as well. Rubbing is racing. He could be on the back of this group within a couple of laps. And Brown ready outside of McCabe again. He's done his absolutely brilliant round the outside as Lucas Brown into Brooklands and then through to Luffield. But will we see Belford potentially, this is a replay here, into Village? Wow, no love lost between the number 52 and 43 of Belford and Brown, both very lucky to stay on the machines.
Yeah, that was very, very close down into Village Corner. Obviously a very tight right-hander coming from the fast left-hander of Farm, and Brinton just sticking it up the inside, showing a nose to Belford, but Belford was having absolutely none of it, was he? And Belford then returns the favour into the Maggots and Beckett section. He now leads once more from Brinton. McCabe is now up to third place on the green machine. He knows he's got to beat Belford to claw back championship standings, but Brown sticks it up the inside and overtakes him for third place again. This is going to chop and change all the way to the flag as we focus in on the riders just chasing the pack. It's Reece Stevenson, Philip Surak, Ryan Frost, and Ollie Walker back there trying to chase them down. Sorry, Reece Stevenson is the number 23 machine, and he's in 6th place, and he's tagging onto the back of these, and all this squabbling is just going to allow the riders behind to make it a bigger group.
Yeah, Harrison Desoy right now, he's a rider to watch in this main group. He's come from a really struggling start, and he's into 5th as Brinton again up the inside of Evan Belford, but this time he doesn't set Belford up. Belford was wide to that one this time round, and it's Emmanuel Brinton back into the lead of this race. We can hear around the circuit some banging beats going on in the fan zone, and there's some fairing bashing going on around this Silverstone Circuit as well, as here comes Belford taking a look at his pitboard, and this has allowed Brown a look up the inside of Brinton as well, but it doesn't make a move with McCabe and Desoy just behind them. They can't carve each other up too much, but here comes Brinton once more. Has he made the move stick this time around? Oh, he runs a little bit wide, but Belford has to set up and almost tags the back of Emmanuel Brinton. This has allowed Brown a look up the inside of Belford. He's made that stuck into the loop. Where is Desoy? Where is McCabe? Can they make a move on Belford as well onto the Wellington Straight? But once again, Evan Belford, he just seems like he's toying with these rivals at the moment. Every time he comes onto straight, just has a little look across to them and just gives them a little wave at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit duffed up, isn't he? Obviously the riders chasing don't have anything to lose. Belford has everything to lose, but he's looking cool, calm and collected out there. Is the number 52. As soon as he loses a place, he's biting straight back to gain that place back. He's not dropped out the top 3 so far as the number 52, but I've got to say, Brinton and Brown look really, really strong here as Belford again hangs it around the outside at Woodcote Corner. He gets such a good run out of Luffield through Woodcote Corner and onto the National Pit Straight and through Cops Corner, but we've seen a couple of times already Brinton carries the speed through Cops Corner. Will he be close enough to make a move into Maggots this time around? I don't think he is. He's in the slipstream, but he thinks better of it this time.
Yeah, he had a little look up the inside, did Emmanuel Brinton. He might have a look into Beckett here, but this squabbling, as you said a couple of laps ago, Elliot, has really brought the likes of Desoy and Stevenson, who's on your screen now. The number 23 of Reece Stevenson has had a bit of bad luck over the last few rounds. Broke his wrist with a crash at Knockhill a couple of months ago. He's now back in action after a couple of little rounds in the European Talent Cup with the Vision Track team. He is back on form, and after finishing down in 8th place yesterday in the wet, in the dry, he's showing a lot better here today, and he's on the back of this group and keeping his powder dry for the moment. However, Evan Belford, who just touches the green coming out of Stowe Corner, is opening up a few bike lengths advantage over Emmanuel Brinton. The rest will have to get a move on here if they want to. Where's Belford gone? He ran a little bit deep into Club there. This has allowed Brinton a look up the inside, so Evan Belford has to be careful. He really is pushing on. We'd hope he doesn't make a mistake like he did yesterday.
I was just about to say, Belford looks like he might be pulling the pin here. He was embroiled in a battle in the first couple of laps. As we reached the half-race distance, I thought he might just be getting his head down and deciding now's the time to go. But yeah, it looked like he just ran wide into Vale. Obviously a half-braking zone for the British Talent Cup riders. As we focus in on Stevenson, who sets the fastest lap of the race. So we have a 6-rider battle out front. When they crossed the line, they were split by less than a second. 10th quicker than Belford. Obviously Belford ran wide down into Vale, so it's going to be interesting to see what sort of lap time Belford can set if he has a clean run at it. But Brinton's now closed him back in after that mistake. He's in the slipstream down the Wellington Straight. He pulls out the slipstream as the number 43. I think he's going to make the move before he even gets to the braking zone. Yes, he is. So Brinton then back up into the race lead. Belford has all the work to do once again, but we're coming to the point of the circuit where Belford has been so strong throughout this weekend, and especially in this race around Woodcote Corner. As we see Brown once again taking that inside line through Luffield to get up into 3rd place. They've just been dropped a little bit by the top 2. Brinton and Belford. And what did I say? Around the outside of Woodcourt, he does it once again.
An absolute carbon copy of every single lap so far in this British Talent Cup race. And Emmanuel Brinton looking around the outside, but Lucas Brown, he's retaliating to Desoy. So these two at the front have started to pull the pin. They're opening up a gap of a few tenths of a second over the battle for third. Oh, and it's very close between Brinton and Belford. Brinton almost tagging the back of Belford's rear wheel. We've seen that a couple of times so far this weekend. We hope not to see it again. And here comes Brown up the inside of McCabe. Oh, he has done it. Has he done it? No, he hasn't. I thought he might have just snuck up the inside, but not for now. Harley McCabe hangs out around the outside and holds off Lucas Brown. This is giving Desoy the opportunity to have a sniff at Lucas Brown. Side by side, they go almost bashing fairings, and they almost do it again. Elbow to elbow stuff between Desoy and Brown. For now, it looks like it has been Desoy that has moved up into fourth spot, as these two have got about a second advantage at the front. Belford looking for a move up the inside into Club Chicane. He hasn't done it yet, so for now, it's still Emmanuel Brinton that leads away.
Yeah, this is a crucial lap in the race. Interesting. You want the lap times they clock across the line. These two have pulled a good second, well, 3/4 of a second, I should say, on the chasing pack. Brinton sets the fastest lap of the race at 2:20.0. Belford sets a 2:20.2, and the others, well, McCabe set a 2:20.8. So a good half a second then was dropped from Belford and Brinton to the chasing pack. They just need to box clever, do the chasing pack to try and not let these guys get away at the front. A second now, it's around about 0.7 seconds, so if they just stop squabbling for a lap or two, they can reel these guys in.
Oh, Brinton's on the grass there.
Gets a little bit wide coming out of the loop onto the Wellington straight. That's going to cost him a little bit of drive, as you can see there. Belford, that's a cheeky look over. He's done that a few times, hasn't he?
Yeah,
I love that
done.
from Belford. He's obviously feeling confident, and he just looks over at Brinton and says, I'm coming by you again, mate. What have you got?
Well, he is one of the veterans in the class, is Evan Belford. 12 wins. He's 11 wins he currently sits on in the British Talent Cup. It could be 12 today if he wins race number 2, which will move him clear into second of the all-time win list in the British Talent Cup, and 2 behind Johnny Garnett. So he's got a lot to play for, does Evan Belford, in terms of the win list and creating history, and also on top of that extending his championship lead, as once again Brinton up the inside into Cops. It's like an absolute art form out there between these two, dancing between disaster and brilliance as they run each other very close into Magnus and Beckins. Belford back again, and this is just allowing the chasing pack ever so slightly to close back in.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the timing screens. Lucas Brown, Harrison Desoy, Reece Stevenson are all setting fastest laps of the race. Stevenson the fastest of them all through the third split. They've closed down a good 2-3 tenths of a second already on this lap. They're boxing clever so far, but in the slipstream is Lucas Brown on Harley McCabe, the number 7 machine. Belford in the lead of the race. How long for though? Brinton sticks it up the inside down at Stoke Corner, but Belford hangs it around the outside. That's great from Belford. He's going to run slightly wide on the exit. How much is that going to compromise his exit down into the Vale chicane? And Brinton's probably not going to be close enough down into Vale this time around. But yeah, we're focusing on Reece Stevenson, number 23, because he is set to set the fastest lap of the race.
Just behind this incredible battle for your podium positions is a battle for 7th, which is raging on between Ollie Walker, Ryan Frost and Filip Sorowiak for 7th, 8th and 9th. They're just about 6.5 seconds off this group, as you can see them in the background there, with Ollie Walker running on the green a little bit there. So a cracking battle going on for the positions just outside the top 6, as we look for maybe another move on Belford from Brinton. Yes, we do. And Brown up the inside of Harley McCabe. So 2 overtakes into Village Corner there, and both have held it. So Brinton once again takes the lead ahead of Belford, as Reece Stevenson is the first rider into the 2-minute 19.953. That is about 1.2 seconds off the all-time lap record of Johnny Garnett. And once again, Belford now tells Brinton to follow him, but I can't imagine Brinton is going to listen at all as he tries to retaliate into the next corner. But Belford now, he feels like he's got the pace to pull the pin, and he wants Brinton to follow him to get away from the chasing pack.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort there from Belford to try and get Brinton to follow him, but I think it's going to
happen at
rightfully ignored from the number 43 rider. This is where Belford's strong though, so Brinton will have the slipstream, of course, and he does get the slipstream. Is he going to follow Belford through Copse Corner? Belford looks across, and yeah, as we thought, the number 43 does not listen to the number 52's orders of sticking behind me. Let's try and break clear of the chasing pack. Brinton then leads once more. The gap to McCabe. Harley McCabe is around 0.7 seconds as Belford sticks it up the inside. What a move that is. Down into Maggots, turn 10. Belford returns the favour so many times as he has done in this race, as we see confirmation of Ronnie Harris crashing down at turn 7. Let's hope he is okay. Down at Luffield, that is. So hopefully Ronnie Harris is back up on his feet. Yeah, he is. Good to see there. Ronnie Harris walking away. We might get a replay of the incident. I think we're about to get it. Here it is down into Luffield then. This is where
just slipped off on his own accord.
Crashed. Yeah, similar to Sullivan Mountsie. Just slipping out, the front end tucked away. And down he goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was pushing on, was Ronnie Harris here trying to gap the gaggle of riders he had behind him. But back at the front, once again, another change of the lead, not quite just yet. I would like to know how many lead changes we have had so far in this race. It must almost be into triple figures, as Desoy has a bit of a moment coming through the club chicane as he tick off another lap. 2 more laps to go in the British Talent Cup, race number 2 here at Silverstone, as Belford goes for another move. Oh, that was very close on Brinton into Abbey. That has really made Brinton check up, and this has allowed McCabe, Brown and Desoy back into the battle for the win. It's a 5 biker, it's a 10-wheeler at the front as we look at Desoy, who's chasing some big points for the first time since his victory back at Donington Park at the start of the season. But for now it's Emmanuel Brinton that leads the way. But as they come through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight, will we see Evan Belford do what he's been doing the last few laps, pull alongside Emmanuel Brinton and tap the rear end of his bike to tell him to follow him? Not quite this time, as Emmanuel Brinton quite brilliantly got a great run onto Wellington Straight. But here comes Belford once again into Brooklands Corner, and Brown, here he goes around the outside on Brinton. He's done this so many times so far this race, but for this time he remains in stationary. So Belford from Brinton and Brown.
Brown is on the move. He set the fastest first sector of the race, a 31 second .2, a good 3/10 quicker than Evan Belford out in front. What can he do then? Brinton pulls out of the slipstream on the number 43 rider, carves across the nose of Evan Belford going into Copse Corner, as we have a change of the lead once again with 1.5 laps to go here at Silverstone. It's anyone's race here in the British Talent Cup race 2. The number 29 of Lucas Brown just lost just a little bit on this lap as Belford once again makes that move down into Maggots and takes the lead.
Yeah, so much confidence going into Maggots and Beckett does Belford, and also a lot of confidence in Emmanuel Brinton that they will have no contact whatsoever. We've got to remember, these riders have been racing each other not throughout just this season, but have come through the likes of the Fab Championship all the way through and have raced each other for years, so they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And Emmanuel Brinton once more out of the slipstream of Belford into Stoke Corner they go, and with only a lap and a bit to go, this could be anyone's race. You've still got the likes of Brown, Desoy and McCabe, who will be looking for any little sniff and advantage they can get as they come into the club chicane late on the brakes. It's Brinton that still holds it for now.
That's going to come down to the last lap, isn't it? We're going to get lunges down at the Vale chicane, ladies and gentlemen. It is nearly last lap time in the British Talent Cup race 2. What a way to cap off a wonderful weekend of racing here at Silverstone. It's Emmanuel Brinton leading the way on to the last lap, but not for long. Evan Belford pulls out of the slipstream and takes the lead down into turn 1. What can Brinton do to retaliate? McCabe has closed in on 3rd place. Brown on the number 29 is waiting in the wings.
Oh,
he was waiting in the wings. He's not waiting in the wings anymore. He's taken 2 for 1 down at turn 3. Village, is he going to hold on to the lead? Yes, he is. So Brown leads then.
Beautiful from Brown with just under a lap to go. He leads away from Brinton and Belford, but Brinton up the inside. The Aintree corner, you can't do that there, but he's done it. He's found a gap. He's found some daylight. Here comes Belford down the Wellington Straight. Half a lap to go. Belford on the inside down towards Brooklands Corner. This is the final time. Brown isn't close enough to look around the outside, but Brinton, he will be looking for any way around the outside he can get. But so far, so good for Evan Belford.
What a move that was from Brinton, but he can't hold on to the race lead. Round Luffield we'll go for the final time. It's all about trying to get a good exit out of Luffield. Through Woodcut we go. Brinton tucked up in the slipstream of Belford. Is he going to pull up to the inside? Belford takes the inside line, the defensive line, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Brinton then takes the lead going into Copse Corner.
Yes, only half a lap to go. Brenton leads away from Belford. Brown isn't out of this yet either. Neither is McCabe and Desoy. McCabe chasing his first win of 2023.
Here comes Belford.
Belford and McCabe up the inside. They've both done it as well. A bit of a moment there on the rear end from Emmanuel Brenton, but for now, Belford through Maggots and Beckett leads away just where he wants to be to extend his championship lead. McCabe, he is looking for every which way he can, but a bit of a moment there coming out of the Maggots and Beckett section. Down the Hanger Straight we come. Belford has a bike length advantage for the moment as they come into Stowe Corner for the final time. Brenton with a move up the inside, beautifully as you like, hangs Belford around the outside. Belford is going for around the outside. Has he done it? And Brenton will try and push him onto the green, but for now it's Brenton that leads away.
It's all going to come down to the Vale chicane. Brinton in the lead. He holds on to the lead as well. He gets a little bit screwy into the corner. Brown tries to get at the inside of Belford, but he can't do it. Is it going to be Emmanuel Brinton's take? His first victory of the season in the British Talent Cup. He's a little bit wide. Belford's going to get run out of the corner, but no! Emmanuel Brinton takes victory here at Silverstone. What a race that was in the British Talent Cup. Belford just loses out by 41 thousandths of a second, but it is Emmanuel Brinton who takes victory here at Silverstone.
Brilliance from Brenton on the final lap of the race. Both congratulating each other after what was an incredible gladiatorial race for race number 2 honours here today at Silverstone. Just behind this incredible group was the likes of Rhys Stevenson, Ollie Walker in 7th. He held off the likes of Ryan Frost, Philip Sorovic and Harrison McKay. He rounded out the top 10.
I do apologise, that is Brinton's second win of the season. I forgot he won the first race over in Knockhill. So what bounce back way to win. Brinton, 4th in the championship coming into it. Evan Belford just misses out on another victory, but it is a great way to reply after yesterday's disappointment for the title leader. He will extend his lead in the overall standing, so a good day for Evan Belford, and he knows it, of course. Lucas Brown taking home 3rd place. Another podium for Brown here at Silverstone. Liam, what a race. Got to catch our breaths after that one.
100%. I'm just glad I wasn't sitting down for that one, because I would have been out of my seat on not just one but about 10,000 occasions throughout that entire race. It was absolutely brilliant stuff. Brilliant from Brown as well. He bounces back after what has been a tough couple of rounds, and he bags a double podium finish in Silverstone in front of the GP paddock. But Brenton, he has been competing over in Spain in the European Talent Cup over the last couple of seasons. This year has been a little bit difficult for him, but he's come over to the British Talent Cup, his rookie season here, and he picks up, as you said, his second race win of the season, his first since the first race at Knockhill, where he also beat Evan Belford in a ding-dong battle in the final lap. So great stuff from Emmanuel Brinton.
Doesn't get much better than that, does it? What a way to end the weekend here at Silverstone. Superb racing from the lot of them in that lead group. I thought Ed Belford had boxed clever there and got the job done, but coming down the Hanger Straight, Brinton was in the slipstream and just held on down into the Vale complex. Here we go, Belford holding on to the lead down into turn 15, the race winning overtake. Brinton dives up the inside down at Stowe Corner, a classic passing manoeuvre here at Silverstone. Belford just trying to hang it around the outside, and of course if you hang it around the outside at Stowe Corner you're going to have the inside line down at Vale, but that's much easier said than done. Brinton phenomenal on the brakes down into Vale, held it through 17, and there's no real passing manoeuvre, is there, Liam, coming through 17 unless you are wide. Brinton was a little bit wide, but not wide enough.
Yeah, we've got to remember earlier on in that final lap, he pulled an incredible move on Lucas Brown through Aintree Corner, so it really did set him up brilliantly for the last section of the track. And here's Evan Belford congratulating Emmanuel Brinton, and these two put up an amazing display of performance here today. These two have been the class of the field so far in practice in the dry conditions so far this weekend. Struggled a little bit in the wet, did Emmanuel Brinton, and Evan Belford crashing out of yesterday's race. But we saw yesterday one of the biggest gaps in the British Talent Cup history. Today we saw one of the closest battles, and well, it could not contrast two more different races here at Silverstone to what has capped off an amazing day of racing action.
Two absolutely brilliant races in the British Talent Cup here at Silverstone. Two very different races, of course. One in the wet and had two runaway leaders, and then this one in the dry we had a group of 4 or 5 all the way throughout. Reece Stevenson incidentally finished down in 6th place, ended 3.1 off the win in the end. But the top 5 across the line were split by just 0.7 seconds. Great to see all the riders down there in Parc Fermé congratulating each other, and just Evan Belford probably saying that I was this close. But nevertheless, he will extend his title lead. It's great to see them all discussing the race, happy with each other. Obviously, they travel around the country together all the way through the year alongside the British Superbikes, and obviously coming to the British Grand Prix and racing on the same agenda as where they want to be in the future. Of course, the Grand Prix riders and some of their heroes. It's a special weekend for them.
It really is indeed. We have seen so many great talents come through the British Talent Cup in recent years, like Rory Skinner, Scott Ogden as well, who was also a champion in 2019. Casey O'Gorman and Johnny Garness, who are both making their way in the European scene as well. We also have to say we wish Johnny Garness a speedy recovery after a season he's missed so far, our reigning champion in the British Talent Cup after a crash that he had in testing at the start of the year. But we have seen him around the paddock in Silverstone this weekend. He's looking as bubbly and as happy as ever as young Johnny Garness, so we hope to see him back racing again in the near future.
Yeah, here echo those thoughts, absolutely. The riders then just debriefing with their teams, and they will be able to stand up on the famous Silverstone podium. There's Evan Belford, just catching his breath, I assume, after that, well, scintillating race. 10 laps of just constant overtakes and just outright phenomenal racing. Poses next to the P2 sign. It's the third time he's finished second in this championship. Like I said before the race, he'd won 4 of the last 6 races, but he did have 2 DNFs to his name. So especially after yesterday's disappointment, crashing out of the lead, a great way to bounce back. He'll obviously be slightly disappointed he didn't win, but 20 points and extending your title lead, he'll be going home happy.
Yes, he will indeed. As you said, Elliot, he will be a little bit upset with not taking the victory, but he knows better than anyone else. Important points here today, especially when he saw his main championship rival at the time, Sullivan Mounsey, go down on lap number 1 as well. So when he saw that happen, he knew that he was on for a big day here today, as long as he could have kept it rubber side up, which he did, and so did this man on screen, Lucas Brown. What a great weekend it has been for the rider on the number 29 machine. Another podium he has added to his collection, and well, what a weekend in 2 contrasting conditions, in the wet and in the dry. I think it's safe to say that Lucas Brown likes both.
Absolutely, yeah. Finished 3rd yesterday in the wet conditions. Next weekend, these riders will be heading to Thruxton alongside the British Superbike Championship. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, which how could you not, and you've not seen the British Talent Cup before, then make sure you do tune in to the British Superbikes at Thruxton, the Fast and Furious Thruxton, of course.
An incredible racetrack.
So wait, yeah, an incredible racetrack indeed.
So, race number 2 comes to a crescendo here at Silverstone, and this is how it looked. Emmanuel Brinton took the victory in race number 2, 41 thousandths of a second ahead of Evan Belford and Lucas Brown rounding out your podium positions. Harley McCabe just missed out on the podium ahead of Harrison Desoy, and Reece Stevenson 3 seconds off the leading group. Ollie Walker was in 7th ahead of Ryan Frost. He held off a great battle for 7th place, and then Filip Sorowiak in 9th spot. Further back in 10th was Harrison McKay ahead of Julian Correa, who did keep a rubber side up today, but he'll be disappointed, finishing a lowly 11th ahead of Alfie Davidson and Ben Jolliffe. Josh Bannister, he picks up a couple of points in 14th ahead of Alexander Rowan. Further back, just missing out on points will be the likes of Clayton Edmonds, Peter Willis and Plipenko, the Ukrainian rider, running at the top 20, and Daniel Goodman, Charlie Huntingford and Ewan Jones just missing out on a top 20. And there's the big name, Sullivan Mounsey, crashing out on the first lap. From delight to despair, from race number 1 to race number 2 for Sullivan Mounsey. And that his crash has done wonders for Evan Belford in the championship. 212 points for your championship leader. That's 49 points ahead of Harley McCabe, who's now moved up into 2nd with Emmanuel Brinton in 3rd. Sullivan Mounsey drops down 2 spots with that crash ahead of Lucas Brown and Julian Correa. Further back, running at the top 10 is Filip Sorowiak, Alexander Rowan, Reece Stevenson, who bagged some good points here today, really starting to find his form once again, is in 12th ahead of Alfred Davidson, Scott McPhee and Ronnie Harris rounding out your top 15 with last year's champion Johnny Garness in 16th. Harrison McKay, Josh Bannister and Clayton Edmonds rounding your top 20 with Ben Jolliffe, Peter Wells and Eli Banish and Daniel Goodman all the way back in 29th on 3 points.
It's time for the podium ceremony then here in the British Talent Cup Race 2, and the glorious sunshine. It's good that we dodged the rain today, isn't it? Had a few spots in MotoGP and the clouds looked a little bit dodgy earlier on today, but we have managed to escape the wet weather. We had enough for it yesterday, didn't we? So we didn't need more today.
Far too much of it yesterday.
Fair play to the fans who have either been here all weekend, were here yesterday especially, and of course sticking around today as well. They've been treated to some fantastic racing across all three classes in the Grand Prix and of course here in the British Talent Cup, and of course Moto E as well.
Yes, there's a lot of music going on in the background there. Lots of the fans will be sticking around long into the evening, and that's a good thing because they've just enjoyed a great British Talent Cup race where we will see our podium finishers. Lucas Brown comes on to the podium to take aloft his third place, a second of the weekend for Lucas Brown. Evan Belford extends that championship lead now to 49 points over Harley McCabe with a hard-earned second position. But your race winner for the second time this year, with a big smile on his face, is Emmanuel Brinton. He will be receiving the most beautiful of silverware from the likes of Anna Espeleta, who's also handing it over to the team representative of the Ryan Saxwell racing team as their riders are on the podium. Third spot once again, and another trophy to add to his cabinet. Lucas Brown, he knows there's plenty more to come from throughout the remainder of the year. 6 more races to go in the British Talent Cup. He is still chasing that first victory, but another second place and another second place trophy to add to his collection. That is Evan Belford. He really is on a run of form with either finishing in second or first. But the man of the moment, it's Emmanuel Brinton, who takes British Talent Cup Race 2 victory here at Silverstone.
He absolutely does. The riders then celebrating on the podium. They'll pose for a couple of pictures and then they'll go home happy knowing that they've got some silverware in the cabinet. Hopefully many more silverware trophies to come for these three riders and many more. Here's highlights then of what we've just seen in race 2 of 2 here at round 6 at Silverstone. Evan Belford starting from pole position once again with Sullivan Mountsie, the race 1 winner, getting the whole shot into turn 1. The drama unfolded halfway round the first lap. Emmanuel Brinton dived inside of Mountsie, and then Mountsie unfortunately took in the front at Luffield, turn 6 and going out of the race. Title drama early on here in Silverstone. But that didn't matter at the front though. A battle raged on throughout. Emmanuel Brinton, the number 43 machine, at the front alongside Evan Belford all race long, and it was a proper ding-dong battle. Lucas Brown there, that was his famous wide entry into Brooklands and then the inside into Luffield. Got plenty of moves, and there did the number 29. Crashes further down the field as well as focus turned to the front. Lucas Brown there diving up the inside at Village Corner in the closing stages as Emmanuel Brinton and Evan Belford went toe-to-toe once again heading on to the final lap. Evan Belford did hold on to the race lead until this move happened down at Stoke Corner on the final lap. Brinton timing his race-winning move to perfection, held it into the Vale complex. Around the chicane they went and just about held on through Club Corner to take his second victory of the season. The British Talent Cup riders will be back out at Thruxton next weekend alongside the British Super Bike Championship. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next time.